You know what I love about the way the media behaves? They always leave out, like, real important parts of a story. You know, a little bit like Trump on January 6th, who told Americans, I know you're going to go peacefully and patriotically, let your voices be heard. That was what they thought was an insurrection. They never included him saying that when they covered January 6th because that ruined their narrative. So they just left that out. They left that part of the speech out. We played it 1,000,000 times. I know you're going to go peacefully and patriotically, let your voice be heard. That's what he said. Well, but he didn't go to Twitter soon enough. Oh, he didn't tell people quickly enough to go home and blah, blah, blah. He told people from the podium, I know you'll go peacefully and patriotically, let your voices be heard. And they never included that part of the speech. In fact, they played parts of his speech, but never put that part in when they covered January 6th. Because they knew how badly that made them look. They understood. Well, now they're doing it with Elon Musk. Do you know that Elon Musk was always going to leave the White House? Now? That was always in the plan from day one. We all knew it. Back in January, they were talking about Doge and Elon and how he was only going to serve in an official capacity through May. You remember that, right? Though they don't mention that now. Now they want to make it look like he's like been drummed out of the White House and there's some kind of a rift between Trump and Elon. Look, Elon wishes there was more spending cuts in the big, beautiful bill. We all do. Join the club. Doesn't mean there's a rift. I feel that way. You probably feel that way. The Senate, I think, is going to make it better. It's going to improve, but is it going to be everything we want? Probably not. And Elon's a guy who wants everything we can throw at it, right? But check this out. Ted Cruz last night was with Sean Hannity on Fox News. And Senator Cruz has the perfect response to what Americans should be saying right now, today, to Elon Musk.
I think the American people ought to be saying to Elon, thank you, thank you, thank you. He came and spent 4 months working for the American people free of charge, didn't collect a salary, made nothing. He rooted out massive waste, fraud, and abuse, and he did so at enormous cost to himself. You look at his stock holdings dropped tens of billions of dollars. It was a personal sacrifice, and the death threats that were directed against him were massive. I think Elon is an extraordinary entrepreneur, an extraordinary business leader.
Now, instead, what did the New York Times do a few moments ago? They dropped a hit piece on Elon claiming that anonymous sources say that he is a drug user, that he takes drugs, that he takes Adderall, that even while he was serving in the White House, he was drugged up, according to anonymous sources. That's the way the legacy media responds to what Elon Musk tried to do. And it's when you stop, and I would love to ask an Elon Musk hater, what is it you're mad about? If you as a lefty, you're marching around damaging Teslas and screaming that Elon's a fascist and Elon's a Nazi. If you ran a business and you uncovered waste and fraud and abuse in your own personal business, even as a lefty, let's say you sold, used Birkenstocks. Oof, imagine the smell on those things. But you sold used Birkenstocks and tie-dyed T-shirts. And you found out that somebody in the back was ripping you off. Wouldn't even the leftist want to end that fraud and waste? Wouldn't the leftist business owner want somebody to make their company run more efficiently? That's all Elon was doing. That's all he did. And they hate him for it. I don't even want to give the New York Times hit piece any oxygen because it's so ugly and mean-spirited and nasty and rotten. I mean, the guy's a character. I get it. I've got people in my life like this. I know people that are like genius. They're off the charts, and they're kind of goofy. They're all over the road. They're hard to keep up with. They got big, bold ideas, and they throw a lot against the wall, and they hope some of it sticks. And then they move on to the next thing. This guy's rescuing astronauts. This guy's putting people on Mars. This guy's got a car that drives itself across the country. This guy is the Henry Ford of our lifetime. He's the go down the list of all the great innovators and entrepreneurs. And that's what they want to do to him? Kick him in the teeth? That's their plan? Golly. It's got to be awful to be that miserable. I often think about the misery these people wallow in. It's not healthy. I don't know how they get through the day. Look at Caroline Leavitt. We've had a chance to interview her. I've met her. She is a tremendous press secretary. And everybody loves her. Even the reporters. I've spoken to reporters who are on the White House beat. Even the reporters from the left-leaning media outlets like her. She's tough. She's on point. She doesn't have books of notes and cheat sheets and binders the way, Corrine, what's her name, had. Everybody loves her. And then along comes Ty Cobb. You know Ty Cobb with the big handlebar mustache? Isn't he? I think he's Ty Cobb's grandson, right? But he's like 100 years old. He's an older guy. I don't know how old he is. I don't care. Listen to how he describes Caroline Leavitt. Now, I was just thinking the other day how pleasant it is to recognize that they're kind of leaving her alone. That's a good thing, at least they're, because what are you going to do? Because remember the first time they went after Sarah Huckabee Sanders, they went after Sean Spicer, they tried to chew up and spit out any of the White House press secretaries. That's not the case with her. I mean, she holds her own, tough, brilliant, smart, funny, warm, pretty remarkable young lady, right? Not according to Ty Cobb. Check out this clown on CNN.
I don't think creepy Caroline, when she speaks, I don't think anybody in America really takes her seriously on a matter of substance. I mean, she's not, learned by any imagination. And I think her comments are clearly so defensive and so ill-informed that people might largely turn her out. She's wrong. And keep in mind, these courts are not trying to participate in international trade matters. All they're doing is ruling on whether a statute authorizes actions by a president. Did Congress delegate its authority to the president?
Just stop it. Turn it off. What a miserable old man. Creepy Caroline. I guess he thinks that, well, maybe I'll give her a nickname and that'll stick. Nobody thinks Caroline Leavitt is creepy. You know what people think is creepy? A guy like you with your, Santa Claus you look like Santa Claus on a bender. With your bulbous, bright red face and your beard, and you're calling a young woman like Caroline Leavitt creepy? You want creepy? Look in the mirror, buddy. Look in the mirror. But this is who they are. They're nasty people. They really are. Joe Piscopo says it all the time. It's the viciousness of the left that always, always gets to you. They're just mean. They'll try to destroy anybody they can with an intensity that is pretty overwhelming. And now they got a guy that they can't control. Now they've got a guy who says, you know what? Take it and stick it in your ear. Joe Rogan had a perfect take on President Trump. Joe Rogan, we had to bleep it a little bit because there's a couple of colorful descriptions that this popular podcaster used. But he sums up the Trump presidency pretty perfectly.
It's also like, they're like, oh, he's a crazy person. I'm like, yeah, that's the only kind of person that would survive what you try to do to him.
Right.
That's the only kind of guy that gets through. Like, you want a perfect person? A perfect person morally falls apart by the time they've been indicted and they've 34 counts, felony counts. Like, your whole body's just destroyed by the stress of you possibly going to jail for the rest of your life. You have to be a insane person to ride that out and not look like anything even happened. Then you get shot.
Yeah.
You get up after you got shot. You're bleeding from your ear and you go fight. You got to be a crazy person to get through. He's a nightmare for anybody that's trying to rig a system. Like, that guy's the nightmare. He's the final boss of you.
Sums it up pretty well, doesn't it? That's a normal guy. No wonder the guy's so popular with his podcast, and he speaks a lot of truth.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.